everyone, and welcome to this Sunday chill. My name's Claire Manning from Thirsty Brush, and I'm going to do a bit of watercolour painting for you today. I hope you're all well, having a nice relaxing Sunday. It's been a tad colder, hasn't it, this week, and I think into next week. But when I did my little walk around the lake with Mum last week for her birthday, we did see some beautiful little shoots of daffodils, of bluebells. I've got some coming up in my garden as well. They're just shoots at the moment. But the one thing that we did see that was out in bloom was crocuses. So I'm going to have a bash at doing some crocuses. I don't think I've painted those before, so be kind. So I've got some Carter watercolour card, a couple of different brushes. I've got an 8, a 6, might need my 4, we'll see, and then a really, really small one. This is like a third, it says, which is even smaller than the 1 if you've got one. But don't worry, use what you've got. If you haven't got very small brushes, just make the painting bigger, and then you won't need to worry about a small brush to do the detail. So when I think crocuses, I think that lovely purple lilac-y colour. I think of yellow ones, and I think of lovely bright green shoots. So I've got a little bit of purple left over here in my palette. So I'm just getting some water in there, and I'm going to add some more. Some more water and some more paint. We need it quite dilute to start off with. This painting was inspired by, did you see Tony with her using that lovely Harriet de Winton book that I've used so many times on my YouTube channel the other day? And then I watched one of Harriet's own videos a couple of days ago, and she did these beautiful crocuses. Now, I can't tell you that they're in one of the books that she does. Has she got 1 book or 2 books? I don't know. Because I don't think, they're definitely not in the book that I've got. I don't know whether it's just something that she's done recently, or designs that she's planning to put in another book, or just was doing for fun. But it was a beautiful mix of some purples and some yellows. So I haven't got the picture in front of me, but as I say, I watched it the other day. Let's see if we can do something and get a similar effect. So can you see there? I've got quite a dilute purple. You could make it a tad bluer if you want. Should we do that? Just do a bit of mixing. Let's do quite a cool blue and see, yeah, see how that just makes it a slightly more bluey purple. That feels quite crocusy. So not an overly wet brush, plenty of dilute paper. I'm going to see if we can get on 3, maybe 4 crocuses. So I always think of them kind of poking out. So I'm just doing a stroke that I very often do when I'm doing leaves. A little bit too much there at the end. Where start off with the tip, and then but we're joining them at the bottom. It's a little bit like, it's looking too tulipy. We'll see, we can always change the petals if we want to. Just cleaned off my brush just to get rid of that excess. I want this first layer to just look like a wash. You see what I'm doing there to get some excess? Clean it off your brush, dry it off a little bit on some kitchen roll or some paper. Let's try another one. Oh gosh, I've splashed everywhere there. Or you can use, you can get that up with some clean water on a brush as well. but let's just make it part of the design, shall we? So let's try another one. Let's try still feel like they curve inwards. And we'll layer over some of the petals as well. Once these areas are dry. Should we do a yellow one? Got an area of my palette here I've been using for like yellows and oranges. So just add some more yellow to that. Again, we're going to make it quite dilute. Make it really pale. Let's have this one. She did a yellow one where it was very open. Let's make sure we add on some stems as well. Quite pale to start off with. And then we can always add some more details to the little shoots and things after. So this one in the middle, this purple, should be nice and dry now. Let's add on, oops, that's gone into my wet green. And that's going to layer over the top. Might need that one a little bit darker. That one should be in the foreground. And let's do another one over here. Did I splash again? God, I'm making a right mess today. Not to worry. Get that nice and smooth. I think I might add, that's still wet, I think I might add some more darker purple at the base, just to let that bleed a little. And let's go back in with some more yellow. Do the next layer of yellows. Too much water. think we've got some room over here. I think this one needs an extra petal coming off. While those dry and we do some more detail, I'm just going to get some more green ready. A little bit of a darker shade than what we've done the shoots, the stems. Start doing some shoots. In and around. Let me swap to the smaller brush for this now. We could probably do the rest with the smaller. Do some over this side. That one could be going behind maybe. We just stop it. Have it poke out. Go behind. Let's see how that one's definitely dry there. So I'm going to start going in with some detail. So I want quite a concentrated bit of purple. And my smaller brush. And I'm going to do some very, very light strokes. Just so I don't put my arm in, just turned it round. But you'll be able to be more patient. And to get that illusion of curve, just going from the tip. Barely any water, look, it's almost a dry brush. See how that adds to the curve of the crocus. This one's almost dry as well. Let's add some more in there. There is another technique that you can do to get this kind of look where you leave the petal till it's almost dry but not quite, rather than completely here, and you add when it was wet you added concentrated colour at the bottom here, and then when it's almost dry you go up. If you want to see that technique, I have done one like that before with the tulips. Also just adding a tiny bit of definition to those individual petals, just to separate those two there. Still looks more like a tulip, doesn't it? Never mind. I just need practice on the crocuses. Same again, just going up slightly more stronger colour and just getting some curve. On those petals to give that lovely shape that the crocuses have. That one dry enough. A little bit of definition on the edge of those petals as well. Soften that slightly. Okay, let's go back to this yellow one. I need one more very dilute petal, I think that's missing from the background, so just need to pop that in. And the same here. I feel like they have 4 or 5 petals today. I feel like this is missing one from the back as well. So ideally I would have done these ones before, but it's okay, once it's dry it will look like we've laid the others on top. So that's fine. Okay, while those are just drying off, let's go back to the shoots. And I've got different types of greens again, maybe some a little bit more bluey. A little bit more dilute. And also a little bit more free. This is going to start to build. Some are close to us and some are farther away. Okay, we can go back to those in a moment. Let's add some final detail to the petals. Certainly this yellow one. I feel like we didn't add the front petal, which we'll just do as well. So some more yellow. Quite concentrate. This one's really at the foreground and it's really open. Just overlap it enough so you can see the definition between that and the other ones. So one thing to do as well is the little stamen. So that will be like an orangey yellow colour. Let's get the small brush back for that. Don't know what I'm going to do about these splats of yellow that I've made here yet. Maybe we can do some big splats. So that's just kind of poking out between the petals there. And the same on this one. Shame that wasn't in a different place, I could have made it. Like the stamen. So while I've got a bit of the darker yellow on my brush here, and it's my small brush, let's see if we can start doing a bit of that curve technique on these petals as well. I'm not sure these are as close to the crocuses that Harriet did herself, but it's all practice for us, isn't it? So I just need to let that one dry a tiny bit more, the detail, and make sure maybe the stamen on that one is a bit more orangey so it stands out from the yellow a bit more. Do we need any more detail on these crocuses, these purple ones? Maybe just a bit more definition here on these paler ones. I think the thing that scares people about watercolour is that they put down the first layer, which is completely normal for it to be like a wash of flat colour, and they look at it and think, there's no definition in that, there's no detail in it, it looks like a child's painted it. But that's kind of how you start, and then you let each layer dry. You can do that kind of loose one where it's just one stroke with the brush, but actually I find this is easier to learn because you have to be very controlled with your brush to be able to do those really loose ones and get it to look right. Your brush strokes have to already be there, whereas I think this is a bit more forgiving because you're using lots of little brush strokes and lots of layers. So yeah, it's actually way more forgiving, I think, because you can change things to a certain degree as you're moving along your painting. So I feel like those two purple ones look okay now. Let's go in with some detail on these stamens and stems. Same thing that I've done with the petals, something that's darker, more concentrate, less water on my brush. This one got smudged a bit, so we can fix that. So I mean, if you've got a mistake, by adding layers you can kind of reshape things and reset the detail. Might not look perfect, but it's certainly not, it needs to go in the bin anymore. Let's add maybe some don't think we're too far off now. Let's mix a tiny bit of brown in with some of that green, this kind of light ochre colour, just to maybe give that a tiny bit of shade. I think white looks a little bit more like a tulip. I was just thinking where the flower meets the stem on a crocus, it kind of comes down a little bit more, doesn't it? So I don't know whether it's too late to kind of try and fix that a little bit. Let's have a go. I think it kind of comes down and kind of blends into it a little bit more. Does that look a bit more crocusy now? And then to get a little bit more shadow on this yellow one, because just adding more yellow isn't going to do it. So I'm going to make a bit of a mix, a little bit of purple, a little bit of the yellow, which will make like a grey. And then just give those little bits of the petals a little bit more definition. I know this isn't a lifelike painting, but this is kind of a good step to, if you'd like to do more lifelike florals, like real botanical images, which is something that really interests me, those ones where it literally looks like it can be lifted off the page. You know, we're nowhere near that yet, but this is kind of a good step to it, because these are the kind of techniques that are used to get that effect. It's just about refining them then. They almost look like they're poking out the grass a little bit, don't they? I'm starting to get a bit free there. The only thing I don't really know what to do with is that little yellow splash, but let's ignore that, shall we? Oh, and our orange stamen for the yellow one needs to pop out around here somewhere. There we go. So really nice and topical for this time of year, and another one for you to have a go at. I hope you enjoy the rest of your Sunday, and I will see you again at Thursday at 1 p.m. for Thirsty Thursday.